Hey dance teachers, Nia here. I want to go over what I include in my classes when I teach children. This is kind of a superpower, being able to teach young dancers the skills that they need in order to progress in their dance journeys. It takes a lot of creativity and patience and also willingness to be a little silly and have fun. The age groups I'm referring to are about 3 to 5 years old, and I hope that you find these strategies really useful for when you teach your classes. In the community I teach in, it's in very high demand to be comfortable with this age group because it is usually the bread and butter of a dance studio, so dance studio owners will really appreciate that you can work with young dancers. It will give you job security, and it will help these young dancers to thrive and fall in love with dance as much as you love it. So then they'll stick around and continue to be your students. A lot of dance teachers use things like these plastic stars and dots, which can be found online, and you use these to mark their places on the floor. This gives dancers a guideline on where to stand in class. This helps them understand formations, lines, and personal space. Our pliés, of course, our knee-bends. From there, you can do your tendus. Sometimes, if I'm feeling really clever, we'll stand behind the stars and dip our toes in the paint. And we'll reference the colors because this age group should be able to know their colors. And it's great to review these skills that are appropriate for their age level. So I'll say, what color are you painting with today, dancer? And they'll say green. I said to stand behind the star, but first we need to learn those directional cues. So we'll stand on top of the star, then I'll say, everyone stand in front of your star. Then stand behind your star, stand next to your star, and jump over your star. Repeat these directional exercises and calls until they look like they're feeling really comfortable and having fun. You can also do something like play freeze dance with the stars. So have them memorize their spots and explain the rules. They've probably already played freeze dance before, but when the music stops, go to your star, hands on hips, smiles on lips. When the music plays, you may move all around the room. They love that game. Other things you can do with the stars going across the floor include leaping over the stars or tiptoeing through the stars. For ages 6, I like to do pas de chats over the stars. And I hope these type of activities help to spark your creativity, and you can come up with some other things to do with your students with this prop. Another prop I like to teach with are hula hoops. First, you can have the students attempt to hula hoop, and some of them will say that's really difficult, and I say you can do hard things, and they'll keep trying, and eventually they will get it. Next, this also teaches their personal space or their own body bubble. That prevents them from bumping into each other when you eventually do your recital dance. So we learn to stay in our hoop. You can play a game of freeze dance. So when the music stops, stand in your hoop in second position, arms in second. When the music plays, dance all around the room. This is also another opportunity to teach directionals such as standing in front of the hula hoop, stand inside the hula hoop, stand behind the hula hoop, and stand next to. In other dance forms, you can teach things like step touch, which is the basis of a lot of footwork in jazz and hip hop. I also like to add on step together, step touch, step together, step touch, which leads really well into grapevines eventually. In hip hop, you can also teach top rocks, jump, touch, jump, touch. Another way you can teach tendus are using the hula hoop, standing in first position, and touch your toe out and in, out and in. You can explore by saying, hey, if you can do tendus to the side of your body, you can also do it to the, And somebody will eventually call out in front of your body, so there you go. Someday you can do behind, and now you are starting to introduce them to en croix patterns. Front, side, back. This is also an opportunity to teach jumps. Jump outside of your hoop and jump inside. And of course, all young dancers love to do tippy-toe turns, so you can do it inside of the hoop. You can also do it around the hoop. With the hula hoop, I also like to teach moves such as ball change. Sometimes we call it rocking horse because that's something that they can relate to. And then eventually, that can become a balance. You can also have them pretend like it's a steering wheel for when they go across the floor. For instance, pretend to steer your car and do your ballet walks or your gallops. You can also really increase their upper body strength by having them hold it over their heads and do things like their grand battements going across the floor. Another prop I like to use in teaching are the cones. This is a nice way to play with pathways. So we can go around the cones. You can practice going through the cones. And of course, we can start to practice our leaps over the cones. These can also help with strengthening exercise. For instance, can you lift your leg over the cone and put it back? Holding a plank and trying to tap the cones. I'm sure you can think of other ways to use this in your class. Another prop we like to use in dance are the scarves. Dancers really love these. They have a wonderful floating, graceful quality to them. First, I have them hide it in their hands, and it's like a magic trick, and we say, poof! And they do that a bunch of times, and it's a really fun way to see their hand-eye coordination develop as they start to get really good at catching the scarf after they throw it in the air. You can teach moves such as chasse, so we go rock, two, chasse, rock, two, chasse. This can also teach them the difference between their right and left. Wave the scarf in your right hand, and then wave it in your left hand. This can also be used to teach grand battements. So for instance, I want to kick the scarf all around the room. I can also use it to teach tendus. So we put it underneath their foot, and they slide the scarf out and in. I also use it to teach balance. Have them stand in passe and place the scarf on top of their thigh like a napkin. Things like bean bags or beanie babies are really fun to use in class. I have a game where I have them put the bean bag on their heads and then walk around in different ways. Can you walk forwards? Can you walk backwards? Can you walk sideways? And then you start exploring other different body parts. For instance, balance it on your shoulder and walk around the space. Balance it on your arm and walk around the space. Balance it on your tummy. They have a blast with that one, trying to explore and find solutions. Balance it on your back, so on and so forth. This is also another opportunity for them to develop their hand-eye coordination by playing toss and catch. And as they get older, they can start to add claps, for instance, toss, clap, catch. And of course, we can work on our balance, placing the beanbag on our head, and start to stand on one leg. And as they advance, you can put it on the thigh and have them work on their passe. Young dancers are really about the visuals that you can provide for them. They're very imaginative, and any creative visualizations that you can provide for their learning is really helpful. So for instance, we play the slinky spine game. If you want them to sit up tall, say, imagine your back is like this slinky. And then we go, staying tall, and then I'll have them slouch. So they know the difference. I love using the balloon as a warm-up. So for instance, I'll have them try to keep the balloon up in the air using their hands. Next, only using their elbows. And then of course their knees. And then their feet. And you can have them get really creative. What other kind of body parts can you use to keep the balloon in the air? They will warm up very quickly, and they're also developing more proprioceptive skills and awareness of their body parts and how they can move through the space. The options are endless when it comes to using props and creative movement and dance for young dancers. So go ahead and comment, what's your favorite prop to use in dance class? How do you like to use it? And also be sure to have your stickers handy for them because young dancers love to collect stickers. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.